Hi, in these videos I want to share some tips and advice that I have been collecting for a while I've been teaching music, mainly theory, sight reading and sight singing, analysis, and some other aspects of music. I will also share material that I consider of quality that I have found on the internet about each topic. This way you can save a lot of time in the search of valuable resources for your classes. The way in which I will develop the videos will be to go step by step with each topic, explaining from scratch what I teach in the classroom and especially with my students in personalized classes. So it can not only be useful for music teachers who already know and manage these topics and are only here for the advice, the methodology, and the proposal of content systematization, but also for all the people who wish to learn music from the most basic level. It is appropriate to clarify that my experience has been mostly with young people and adults. Therefore, the content that I'm going to publish here is mainly aimed to teachers who teach or wanted to start teaching these types of students. But I'm also going to share some advice of classes for children. In this series, we will start with music theory from scratch. It is almost impossible to try to define music without falling into a philosophical debate of endless hours. My recommendation is that students investigate definitions of different authors so that they can form their own criteria, but not spend too much time in class on these topics in which they can spend the rest of their lives reflecting and even changing their minds. I suggest you quote a definition of music that you know or write your own in the comment section below. But one suggestion is to reserve as much time as possible in the classes for practical matters, since the main purpose is to start developing musical skills as soon as possible. And also the student at some point will have to be in more philosophical courses such as history, aesthetics, and musical analysis. Returning to the subject of music, something that most of us agree on is that for there to be music, there must be sound, or at least someone thinking about sounds. Music results from the organization of sounds, which produce sensations and emotions. For this reason, we can also say that music enters the field of the psychological, while sound belongs to the physical. Sound is a result of waves that are produced in a material medium that can be air, water, and others. These waves are captured by our ear and sent to our brain. Human beings perceive sound waves better in the air. Other species can do better in water. When studying music, firstly, we must know the qualities of sound in order to understand how and to what extent we can work with it. From the point of view of some theorists, the qualities of sound that musicians must know are four. For others, and for me, there are five. Height or pitch, intensity or loudness, timbre, duration, and space. All these qualities are capable of being modified in order to obtain different sound results. Therefore, they are necessary to know. Pitch refers to the frequency with which the sound wave oscillates. As the oscillation is faster, the sound will be higher. If on the contrary the oscillation is lower, the sound will be lower. Physicists measure frequency in hertz, which means oscillations per second. 1 hertz is equal to an oscillation in 1 second, but that would be a sound that humans are not able to hear. Human ear in its best condition listens between 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz. But as I told you, that would be a human ear in very good health and without the natural condition that occurs over the years. The normal thing is that this capacity is reduced little by little, especially in adulthood. In the theremin, I'm going to play a sound that starts at any pitch and I will make it increasingly higher. It is what in music we call glissando or portamento. Now listen to a sound and I'll make it lower. I recommend that your students sing sounds that start at a low pitch and get higher and vice versa. The most important thing for musicians in this matter is that we represent pitch with musical notes and accidentals. The famous C, D, E, F, G, A, B are a resource that musicians developed in the past to represent pitches of sounds, some lower and others higher. If you're a teacher or student of music teaching, my recommendation is that this type of explanation is reserved for young people and adults. If you teach children, focus the class on practical activities and avoid turning the class into a theoretical class. Songs with high and low sounds are always a very good idea to work with children. Some games of imitating sounds also help children a lot to understand pitch. In the description of the video, I give you links to materials related to this topic that I've developed and that you can use in your class. Loudness refers to the amplitude of the sound wave. The bigger the wave, the sound will be louder. The smaller the wave, the sound will be quieter. In this case, it is convenient to clarify to the student that loudness and pitch are two qualities that they must completely separate. A wave can be small and vibrate quickly or slowly. It can also be large and equally vibrate at any frequency. In all cases, we obtain different results. In the theremin, I'm going to play a sound at any loudness and make it louder. Now I will do the opposite. I'm going to play a sound at any loudness and make it quieter. Now how about we combine two qualities, pitch and loudness? I recommend the following exercises. First, ask the student to make a sound with his voice that starts low and quiet and becomes increasingly higher and at the same time louder. They can use any vowel sound. Now they should make a sound that starts low and loud and becomes increasingly higher and at the same time quieter. Now a sound that begins high and quiet and becomes increasingly lower and louder at the same time. And finally, a sound that starts high and loud and gradually becomes lower and quieter. I'm going to play all four exercises on the theremin. Physicists measure intensity in a unit called decibels. We musicians use cues throughout scores to indicate changes in the loudness of sounds. We call these indications dynamics. timbre is named by some people the color of sound. It refers to the particular characteristics of each sound instrument. It allows us to identify and differentiate the sound of one instrument from another. A sound on a flute is not the same as on a violin, or an oboe, or a car klaxon, even if they have the same pitch and loudness. They are all different because each one's wave has a different shape and because other so-called harmonics are produced from a sound, which in each instrument are configured differently. This occurs due to many reasons, such as the material and shape of the instrument's body, the characteristics of the place where the sound occurs, and the way the instrument is played. We musicians show the timbre in the score when we assign that part to a particular instrument. In addition, throughout the score we give indications of articulations and ways of performing each fragment that also modify the timbre. For example, a note on a guitar played near the sound hole of the instrument does not sound the same as the same note played near the bridge. Those details can also be noted in a score. That way, we show a change that must be done. Duration is the moment when the sound occurs from its beginning to its end. In daily life, we measure it in seconds, minutes, fractions of a second, etc. In the score, we use some indications that affect the duration and the changes in the duration of sounds themselves. These include tempo and metronomic marks, time signatures, rhythmic notes, and agogic indications. Space refers to the environment that a particular sound fits, from the source that produces it to where it is heard. It is possible to measure the range of a sound wave. Musicians can point out the placement of instruments, speakers, and even the audience in the physical space where the sounds will be played, and also modify that space and the direction towards which these sounds are projected as they are played. These indications are not common, but they can be found mostly in music of the 20th and the 21st centuries through sketches, drawings, and captions prior to the score itself. If you want to teach these topics, I give you a worksheet that you can use with your young and adult students to check that they have mastered these skills. You can find it on Patreon by clicking on the link in the description of the video. There you'll also be able to find complete resources for this and other classes, such as tests already prepared, with audios and answer sheets, just to print and develop. As a summary, let's look at each quality of sound. Remember the first quality, pitch. In the scores, we represent it with the musical notes, which I will explain to you in the next video. Finally, I thank you if you subscribe to the channel and click on the alerts to continue receiving advice and resources for your classes. Thanks a lot. I hope you have a good music.